Hello everyone, welcome. This is a class nuclei part 8. Today I am going to discuss critical size, critical mass and K factor. Okay. During nuclear fission, the number of neutrons emitted, right? They are very fast neutrons. See here, this slow neutron when it bombarded with the nucleus of radioactivity substance or radioactive substance, it splits two small nuclei plus 3 neutrons plus certain amount of energy. Here these 3 electrons whatever are there, they are very fast neutrons, right? And these 3 neutrons, if they have to produce further nuclear fission, they have to be slowed down, right? How you are going to slow down them? That is an important point here. For example, if I consider this is a nucleus, right? Here certain nuclei are there. If one small slow moving neutron hit to this one such that it produces 3 neutrons. It produces 3 neutrons and these 3 neutrons are very fast moving neutrons. After fission, the neutrons whatever we get, that they are very fast neutrons. And these fast neutrons, they travel a long distance before coming slow down. Before coming slow down. If they didn't come slow down, they will escape from the material. Then there is no further reaction. At that time, their reaction is said to be not sustained or non-sustained reaction. If these fast moving electrons escape from the fissionable material, then the reaction is said to be non-sustained reaction. But I want to do a sustained reaction. That's what I have to do. Then I increase the size of the fissionable material such that these fast moving neutrons come slow down and they produce the nuclear fission. At that time, the same reaction is now sustained. Correct? Now, once the reaction is sustained, the reaction may be accelerated. The reaction may be accelerated or decelerated or constant. Once the reaction is sustained, the reaction will be accelerated, decelerated, nothing but slows down, or constant, which takes place at constant rate, right? So this factor will be understood by one factor known as K factor. That is called K factor, or we can call reproduction of neutrons. Reproduction of neutrons. And how do you define this concept, K factor? It is defined as the ratio of rate of production of neutrons to the rate of loss of neutrons. For example, if there are 100 neutrons are there, which are slow moving neutrons, and hit to the nucleus or radioactive substance such that it produces the 300 neutrons. 300 neutrons, because we know that 1 neutron produces 3 neutrons. Then 100 neutron produces 300 neutrons. And out of these 300 neutrons, if suppose 100 neutrons are lost, 100 neutrons are lost, then here number of production of neutrons is 100, number of loss of neutrons is 100, then what is the K factor? K factor is 1, right? If the K factor is 1, at that time the chain reaction is steady, right? If suppose now 100 neutrons are produced here and out of 100 how many are lost? For example, 200 lost. If 200 lost, how many remaining? Only 100 remaining. The loss of neutrons is 200 and production is 100. Then the reaction is half, that is 1 by 2, which is less than 1. If it is less than 1, the reaction will be gradually decreasing. If suppose 100 neutrons are producing 300 neutrons, if only 50 neutrons are lost, then there will be K is greater than 1. If K is greater than 1, then the reaction is accelerating. So we can find out whether the reaction is accelerating, decelerating or constant. We need to understand this concept, that is K factor. If K factor is equal to 1, chain reaction is steady. Nothing but the reaction is constant. At that time, the mass and size of the fissionable material is critical size. That means at the critical size or critical mass, the reaction is steady. Right? If K is greater than 1, multiplication factor is K is greater than 1, then the chain reaction accelerates, which leads or which results in the explosion. Right? The size of the fissionable material at that time is super critical size. Super critical size is more than whatever we require, or more than critical size, or more than critical mass. At that time it leads to an explosion, that is using the principle of atom bomb. Next, if K is less than 1, at that time chain reaction gradually decreases and becomes halt. Chain reaction stops. Once the chain reaction stops, there is no further reaction. The size of the material is at that time is called subcritical size. So we understand critical size, critical mass and K factor. Yes guys, next concept is nuclear fusion. Here fusion means what? In the nuclear fission, a big nucleus splits into two small nuclei. But here the two small nuclei combine together to form one big nucleus. That process is called nuclear fusion. See, according to the definition, it is the process of combining two small nuclei, right, into a single nucleus. And during this process, a large amount of energy is produced. Right? So one of the example for this nuclear fusion is, consider here a deuterium atom, one deuterium and another deuterium combined together to form a helium atom and producing energy of 24 million electron volt. Similarly, one more example for this, the isotope of helium, that is mass number 3, atomic number 2. Two isotopes of helium atoms are combined together to form a helium and liberating two hydrogen atoms with certain amount of energy. This is called nuclear fusion. There is a condition for nuclear fusion. It does not take place at normal temperature. Nuclear fission takes at normal temperature, but nuclear fusion does not take at normal temperature. Hence, this is called thermonuclear reaction. That is, the nuclear fusion is also called as thermonuclear reaction. And why it is so called? Because the nuclear fusion reaction takes place at very high temperature. That's why it is called thermonuclear reaction. It is very difficult to achieve the nuclear fusion because of the electrostatic repulsion between the nucleons. Why? The electrostatic repulsion between the nucleons. But this is possible only if those two nucleons approaching towards each other with a kinetic energy of 0.1 million electron volt, and this kinetic energy is present at the temperature of 10 to the power of 6 Kelvin. At this high temperature only, at this high temperature and this kinetic energy, those two nucleons are approaching, then only the nuclear fusion takes place. For example, in the sun, whatever reaction is taking place, that is nuclear fusion. The temperature of the sun is of about 10 raised to 7 Kelvin. That's why at the stars and the sun, some kind of stars, we are observing the nuclear fusion. Yes, dear students. Next, the stellar energy. What do you mean by stellar energy? It is the energy given out by the sun and other stars. It is called stellar energy. And what is the sources of this stellar energy is the thermonuclear fusion reaction, right? Either in sun or any other stars, if they are giving the light energy out, is only because of the thermonuclear fusion reaction. Okay. Therefore, the sources of stellar energy is the thermonuclear fusion reaction. Next, origin of stellar energy. Where this originate? Fusion reaction are assumed to be taking place at the interior part of the sun because of the following some facts. What are those facts? We'll see now, right? The first fact is the sun is mainly composed of hydrogen and helium. A large amount of hydrogen and helium atoms are there, right? So some hydrogens are combined together to form a helium atom, that is called nuclear fusion reaction. If nuclear fusion reaction has to take place, there must be a large amount of heat energy must be there. Therefore, the temperature of interior of the sun is of about 10 raised to 7 Kelvin. Because of this reason only, the nuclear fusion is taking place at the sun, right? Next, third one is, it has been estimated that the sun is radiating energy at the rate of 3.8 into 10 to the power of 26 joules per second. It's a very huge amount of energy is liberated by the sun due to the thermonuclear fusion reaction, right? So I'll just end this video here. We'll continue next.